Hey folks, it's October 2nd, and there are many videos out there about the implementation of martial law in Washington, D.C., New York City, and about 30 countries, all happening at the same time with the same date of the same written letter. So you got to ask what these globalists are doing. I mean, look at any country that's fighting back. I want to play a short clip, if you don't mind. And here it is. It's on BitChute. Watch. Listen.
Your access has been denied.
Are we terminated?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
So you're firing us?
Effective 9/1. You are off payroll effective 9/1.
Are you firing us?
I will not answer your specific questions. I have told you where I'm going.
But I have not quit. So am I being fired?
You are being terminated.
Sorry, you can ask that Saudi Arabian question now. You shouted it.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I'm just like, it's so hard to be patient here with all of these lies. Okay, I just read a report from Ontario where you said Sharia law was compatible with Canadian values. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Sorry. We're going to let her speak. And
Number three question, Mr. Trudeau, is you've sold us out to globalism.
Okay.
You are not working for Canada. You are working for your globalist partners. I wonder how much they're paying you to betray Canada. What do we do with traitors in Canada, Mr. Trudeau? We used to hang them for treason. And you're doing that very same thing to us now. We know what you're doing.
There are hundreds of videos that you should be watching. I can show you many of them, folks. You need to do your homework because look at this.
Alrighty, and we are in one place and other places as well.
We wonder why were they here training in winter?
Minister's order, province of Saskatchewan.
Walk out because that's what their soul is telling them to do. That's what's telling them is right. And so this was their way of being able to bring in the military, and it's happening. It's happening. I was speaking to someone in BC that's by the ports, and she says the amount of military that on a secret covert thing, and it leaked
Over here, and by the way, this document will be being shared. Patricia has it, she'll share it, I'll share it myself on Telegram. You can find it on our website at Academy of DK in the free library in the resources section. You can download this, share it with absolutely everybody, because it's something that people have to know of what's going on. This is an actual government document, signed, the whole deal, and stamped. So it says Province of Saskatchewan Minister's Order on September 13, 2001, received from the Clerk of the Executive Council. And among all these things, it says Section 18.1 of the Emergency Planning Act provide in part as follows. And you guys can read all the points together, but I'd like to read some main points over here.
Well, hold on, Jason. I think that it's important that you do actually maybe read through all of it.
Okay, no problem.
Ones up here, like F, control or prohibit travel to and from any area in Saskatchewan.
No problem.
You won't be able to leave your block. There's going to be military checkpoints. That's what that means. So maybe you should read the whole thing.
Sure. So it says powers of minister in an emergency. 18.1. On the making of an emergency declaration or a renewal of an emergency declaration during the emergency period, the minister may, and all these points, here it is, put into operation any emergency plan or program that the minister considers appropriate. Patricia, you can chime in at any point you want to add on top of what's being said. B, authorize or require a local authority to put into effect any emergency plan for the municipality. C, assume direction and control of the emergency response of a local authority. D, acquire or utilize any real or personal property that the minister considers necessary to prevent, combat, or alleviate the effects of an emergency. I urge you guys to read what that says again.
Yes.
They're talking about having the right to confiscate all property. And if you look what Ned Lamont's doing, holding on to executive power, folks, we're not in the type of emergency that we should not be using our General Assembly, who we elected. And we have an election coming up for municipalities, which is critical, yes, but the real idea here is if these guys don't believe in federal law, they have genetically mutated your genes. By the way, the Constitution was written for human beings. Once you modify someone's genetics, they may not be considered human anymore. So there's a lot of questions here, folks. And we're getting very little comments, very few comments back. But if you look at Canada or Australia, our allies, they are being castrated. So I'll leave this at 7 minutes. You need to follow the campaign, because we're going to go down a road here that very few people understand, and you need to pick up the phone and get all the like-minded conservatives that you know out to vote. Out to vote this year and especially next year, because we have an opportunity, and if we don't take it, we're going to be behind the 8 ball. These globalists are pushing Sharia law. That's what our Supreme Court is doing, incorporating Sharia law into the laws and the precedent used in our federal courts and state courts. Keep in mind, there's no reason why Connecticut stopped its jury trials back in March 2020. No jury? Then the governor appoints a judge that follows his decisions. And, for example, in the Stephen Barrier murder trial, the mother wrote my opponent, Senator Blumenthal. Magically, $30 million was sent. The evidence disappeared. When things disappear that should be on the record, that's a problem. When judges like Crumrich and Gennario dismiss a lawsuit that has standing, you need to wonder how the state receives a letter from the state's attorney asking for a bribe to be paid to the NAACP and Black Lives Matter, when in fact the head of the NAACP is friends with the chief state's attorney from high school and gives a $1.5 million kickback. And Mr. McCosey, who's in charge of the investigation, returns no calls, doesn't take any calls. I've called him 30 times. The man, for example, there was a murder 35 years ago in Connecticut, the Gina Grisanti murder. Gina is the sister of the murdered woman. She was kidnapped in broad daylight. They never interviewed the witnesses, folks. She was kidnapped at a bar in broad daylight. They never they never found the body. They never interviewed the witnesses. Why? I'll tell you why. Because we have Chief Kaholic, who has been lying to Gina Grisanti. I filed multiple lawsuits, multiple criminal complaints in Norwalk by myself for check fraud. I talked to 9 detectives. They don't acknowledge those complaints. I'm talking about 1,239 cash stolen checks. What happened? Now mortgage checks are being cashed. There is a lawsuit coming up, Flynn versus Firetree. You should follow it because the mayor lied in his affidavit saying no permits were issued. Firetree lied saying no permits were issued. They told the court 6 times no permits were issued of any kind to Firetree. Firetree has many criminal indictments in its past, including an investigation by the state of Pennsylvania for money laundering. Yes, they are money launderers. That's my specialty. I've written many complaints about money laundering. What happened? The judge, Provader, Heller, Jacobs, all 3 know about money laundering of Malloy, Daniel Malloy, mayor of Stamford, the city of Stamford, the law firm of Judge Adams in Stamford. So people say, oh, Johnny, that's a conspiracy theory. Really? Really? 500,000 felonies is a conspiracy? Let me tell you about the risk. When 6 NASDAQ trading stations are stolen and people start trading in hundreds of thousands of securities that they don't own electronically, it implicates Bernie Madoff, Computer Shares, Fidelity, Fiserv Securities, multiple companies in multiple states. NASDAQ, which is in Connecticut, it was in Trumbull, Connecticut. The Act Service Desk manufactured trades that have no documentation. And I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of trades, folks. So, look at the facts, look at the cases. Understand here that the state of Connecticut violates your rights when they don't hear your lawsuit. When they maintain that you should go to NASDAQ and have it heard, when a NASDAQ actually acted as a defendant in the same trial, to accuse someone of a crime hundreds of times, have them say they're investigating. Look at back to the Gina Grisanti case. For 35 years, the city of Norwalk's been telling her, we're investigating. Okay? Well, they didn't interview the witnesses. They never checked the truck that the body of the girl was moved in. They have never looked for the body. And they have evidence about the location of the body. So when you look at that case and the dead end that it is, that's one thing. But to tell a victim of a crime that you're helping them when you're not is criminal. Now, we've uncovered that Harry Rilling has been instructing the Detective Bureau of Norwalk not to investigate financial crimes. Tell Mr. Flynn, myself, tell Mr. Flynn to stand in the long line of criminal financial crimes that will never be investigated. Meanwhile, they're telling me on the other side of the coin, oh, we're investigating, we need more time. We're investigating, we need more. Oh no, the criminal investigation's still open. Did they ever get a subpoena for the banking records? Banking records the brokerage firm is required to maintain for 7 years. Did they ever look at the wire fraud or the subordinated loans that were given? Loans were made and forgiven by a guy I don't even know. Guess what? He's a lawyer at Kelly, Dry and Warren. He's a partner. He was working for Judge Adams' law firm. So I say to you, don't look at the facts and determine on your own, because the things that these people are talking about are prevalent in the Democratic strongholds, and Connecticut is a Democratic stronghold. Look at Senator Murphy, how many times he's committed treason. Look at John Kerry, 200 treasons. Comey came from Hartford, Connecticut, lives in Westport, Connecticut. Comey lied. Diallo hired Comey. Diallo is the largest hedge fund in the world, Blackwater. I'm telling you that when Fidelity is the largest mutual fund company in the world, and they've got a branch in Stamford that manipulated the size of the trades I am talking about could bring down the NASDAQ stock market. Do you understand that vaccine company shares were stolen? Virex, Alteryx, Paladin Labs. Look at all the biotechnology stocks stolen, while Jim Himes has been maintaining that there's being an investigation done. Look at the bribes he collected from Oxy. Look at Burisma's payments to Blumenthal and Murphy. Burisma should not be paying because Murphy threatened Ukraine, saying, if Ukraine investigates on behalf of Trump, if Ukraine investigates Biden, that all Democratic support for Ukraine will be withdrawn. Look what they did in Afghanistan. Why? Not just the heroin, folks. It's the battery lithium technology too. There's a deal. There's a bribe. There's a kickback. Everywhere you turn, there is a bribe and a kickback. Case in point, look at 5G. It's 600 times stronger than 4G. 9 nanowatts of Wi-Fi fries your testicles. 10, 11, and 12 genetically modifies you, okay? Ruins your immune system, causes blindness, causes blood clots, causes all these things. Hypersensitivity, immune problems. During a pandemic, and Blumenthal took 17 bribes from 5G already, saying, oh no, there's no study and no proof of health risks of 5G. I'm telling you folks, Blumenthal just wrote the abortion bill because of Texas, using extreme language, and is allowing abortion up to delivery. That's murder, folks. That's murder. Look at him bang the drum about the gymnastics team and how much they knew. His most recent rant is about Instagram and the 13-year-old girls that are suffering from mental health issues due to bulimia and the lockdown, the numerous problems. So when you look at what Blumenthal did, he posed as a 13-year-old girl on Instagram. Yeah, and he's done a lot of things. When he was 32, he started dating his 16-year-old girlfriend, who became his wife. That was statutory rape. And Richard Blumenthal's banging the drum about Instagram and how they aren't documenting, they're not transparent about how they... Hold on. Blumenthal...
Hey, Johnny,
can I talk to you a minute? In a minute. Blumenthal brought Comey down to falsify the Hillary Clinton investigation. That's a fact. Benghazi, Rostec. How is Bill Clinton paid $500,000 by the Abraj Group, which is a Iraqi establishment? I mean, it's troubling, okay? It's very troubling that we have a Chris Murphy and a Blumenthal ruining the entire United States of America. So watch these videos. There's many. It's a risk to share them. I'm taking a huge risk, and I need a small campaign contribution, or I can't possibly take down the Connecticut cabal by myself. And I thank you for your time and effort. Please go to Flynn 2022 or go to WinRed, small contribution. That's all I'm asking for. You will see how I reveal my strategy to prevail. Evil is powerless if a handful of patriots step up. America first. America first. America first.